What if your life has not truly been your own? What if three hidden forces have been quietly steering your choices, your words, and even your destiny without your awareness? Think of it: the job you walked away from, the relationship you clung to even when it drained your spirit, the opportunity you delayed until it dissolved into nothing. What if those were not random mistakes, but invisible strings pulling you through the same cycles again and again? It is as if a shadow puppeteer has been behind the curtain of your mind, moving you with cords you never saw. You thought you were free, you thought you were choosing, yet your steps have been choreographed by something deeper. These forces are not strangers outside of you. They are inner shadows, dark personalities you unknowingly allowed to live inside your sacred temple, false idols you bowed before when you spoke words of fear, limitation, or doubt. And like an invisible architect of struggle, they have built walls around your blessings, keeping you circling deserts when you were made for promised lands. Pause for a moment and look back at your life. Can you trace the patterns, the heartbreaks that echo each other, the financial battles that repeat under different names, the friendships that collapse in the same familiar rhythm? That is no accident. It is design, not divine design, but the design of unchallenged shadows that whisper into your inner dialogue. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that nothing rules you unless you accept it in thought and in word. That is where the shadows gain their power. They do not storm the gates of your soul with weapons. They wait for you to agree, to confess defeat with your tongue, to rehearse pain with your mind, to declare yourself unworthy in silence. That agreement is the signature on their contract. But you are not condemned to live under their control. You were created with authority. Your soul was designed to be the compass, not the captive. Divine law says, what you refuse to accept cannot remain in your experience. The moment you awaken and name the shadow, its strings begin to snap. Let me ask you now, can you already feel one of these shadows tugging at you? Perhaps it is the voice that says, why try? You will only fail. Or the feeling that love always slips away just when you open your heart. Or the urge to sabotage yourself right before a breakthrough. These are not coincidences. They are patterns of shadow. And today we will unmask them. Imagine standing at the silent gate of destiny, holding the key that unlocks every cycle you have ever repeated. That key is awareness. Awareness that your inner dialogue has been the throne where shadows sit. And once you dethrone them, the temple is restored. I want you to see this clearly. You are not battling the world. You are not fighting people. The war is within, and the victory is already yours the moment you see what has been unseen. Because when light shines, shadows vanish. And I will tell you this, if you are ready to unmask these forces and walk free into divine power, subscribe now for daily spiritual teachings that will change your life. You do not need more years of struggle. You need truth. And truth spoken at the right time cuts every invisible cord. Stay with me. Because today you will not only identify your shadow, you will receive the tools to break free. This is not theory. This is practice. By the end of this journey, you will know which of the three dark personalities has been shaping your story, and you will hold divine words to end its reign. So breathe, open your heart, and listen. As the veil lifts, the awakening begins now. If you truly want to understand why these shadows hold sway, you must first understand the law that governs them. Nothing in your life happens by accident. There is always a law behind every effect, and shadows only thrive because a higher law has been neglected. The ancient wisdom of Florence Scovel Shinn reminds us of the law of substitution. Thoughts cannot be erased. They cannot simply disappear into nothingness. They must be replaced. If a lie is not cast out with truth, it remains. If fear is not replaced with faith, it grows. If doubt is not replaced with divine knowing, it becomes the silent ruler of your decisions. This is why shadows linger. They exist not because they are stronger than you, but because there is space within you they have been allowed to occupy. The mind is a sacred garden. If you do not plant roses of truth, weeds of fear will overrun the soil. You cannot leave the soil empty and expect beauty to bloom. Every patch of thought is always occupied either by light or by shadow. Your subconscious is the keeper of this garden. It does not argue. It does not question. It accepts whatever is repeated, whatever is spoken, whatever is imagined with emotion. Over time, those seeds harden into identities, and identities become personalities that rule behavior. This is how false selves are born. Think of it like this. You may speak words of weakness, even in jest, and your subconscious records them as law. You may replay memories of rejection, and your subconscious makes rejection the expectation. You may carry anger against the past, and your subconscious sets anger as the default. Slowly, without noticing, you become the puppet of a personality that was never your true self. This is why so many feel trapped by patterns they cannot explain. They promise to change, but the same cycle returns. They make resolutions, but the same feelings rise again. They pray for new doors, but old habits drag them back. It is not because destiny has conspired against them. It is because the subconscious keeps playing the same record until a new one is placed upon the turntable. The shadows are not your destiny. They are unconscious agreements. They are illusions, held alive by repetition. Each time you declare with your tongue, I can't, I'm not enough, it never works for me, you sign the contract again. Each time you feel the emotion of fear without replacing it with faith, you water the weed. Each time you imagine defeat, you sketch the blueprint for struggle. Picture yourself walking through a hall of mirrors. At every turn you see a reflection, but none are true. One mirror shows your fear exaggerated until it looks larger than life. Another mirror shows your pride, convincing you that you must control everything alone. Another shows despair, bending your image until you cannot see your worth. If you do not know these are illusions, you begin to believe the reflections are reality. But the law says, whatever image you hold in the mind, you will shape in the outer world. This is where the shadows gain their control, not through strength, not through truth, but through agreement. Your agreement. And if you can agree with a lie, you can agree with truth. If you can accept fear, you can accept faith. If you can rehearse pain, you can rehearse victory. That is the liberating secret of the law of substitution. So pause and ask yourself, what has been repeating in your life, not because it is your fate, but because it has been rehearsed in your inner dialogue? Can you hear the words you whisper to yourself when no one else is listening? Can you feel the emotions you silently feed each day? That is the soil. That is the garden. And that is where the transformation begins. Your mind does not resist replacement when you bring in divine truth. The weeds do not fight the roses when the gardener is intentional. The shadows do not stand when the light is chosen. This is not a battle of force. It is a shift of focus. Divine law does not require striving. It requires surrender, to release the false and choose the true. Here is a simple practice. When you catch yourself saying, I am always behind, do not try to erase the thought. Replace it. I walk in divine timing. When you feel, I will never have enough, do not resist the fear. Replace it. I live in the overflow of divine supply. When despair whispers, it is hopeless. Replace it. All things are possible in the light of God. These are not empty affirmations. They are keys that turn the lock of the subconscious, opening a new script for your life. So let us be clear. Shadows exist only where truth has been absent. They cannot endure in the presence of conscious choice. And the moment you see them for what they are, illusions built by repetition, you reclaim the authority of your sacred temple. Then just a moment, we will step deeper. You will meet the three shadows face to face. You will see how they have been shaping lives for generations. And you will know how to name them, how to confront them, and how to replace them with the power of truth. The law has been unveiled. Now prepare your heart, for the shadows are about to be revealed. Type 1. The slave of fear. There is a personality that walks silently through countless lives. It does not roar, it whispers. It whispers what if? What if you fail? What if they leave you? What if the money runs out? What if you are not enough? This shadow is the slave of fear. They are prisoners wearing chains forged from their own doubts. At every opportunity they hesitate. At every open door they stall. They are convinced the future hides disaster, so they never step into the future at all. Their prison is not made of stone. It is made of imagination used against themselves. Fear is resistance to divine order. It is the refusal to flow with the river of life. Florence Scovel Shinn taught the law of non-resistance. What you resist persists. When you fight shadows, they grow larger. When you resist destiny, you delay it. The slave of fear resists everything. They resist change. They resist trust. They resist surrender. And so they become locked in cycles of struggle, not because life has denied them, but because they have denied life. The image is clear. A traveler stands at the edge of a sacred bridge. Beyond it lies a promised land of provision and purpose. Yet the traveler never crosses. They keep circling, trembling at what could go wrong. And so their destiny waits, unfulfilled. On the other side, But freedom begins the moment you see fear for what it is, a false prophet that never comes true. You must replace fear with faith. This is the law of substitution in action. When fear says, "What if I fall?" faith answers, "What if I fly?" When fear says, "What if I lose everything?" faith answers, "What if I gain more than I imagined?" Here is your affirmation. I walk in faith. God's plan is perfect and unfolding now. Speak it not as empty words, but as a divine decree. Every time you feel fear's grip, declare it, and you will feel the chains begin to loosen. Visualize this with me. Close your eyes and imagine a divine fire blazing before you. Take every fear, every doubt, every whispered what if, and place it into the flames. Watch them burn until only light remains. Breathe and see yourself walking across the sacred bridge, free of weight, free of resistance, stepping into the rhythm of divine order. That is how the slave of fear becomes the servant of faith. Type 2. The voice of pride. The second shadow wears a different mask. It does not tremble. It pretends to tower. It does not whisper what if. It proclaims, "I already know." This is the voice of pride. The voice of pride projects confidence, but beneath it lies deep insecurity. They build glass towers to prove strength, yet one stone of truth shatters it all. They try to control every detail, every outcome, every timing. They resist surrender. They resist trust. They resist divine timing because they believe they know better than the divine clock. But Florence Scovel Shinn taught that pride delays blessings. The law of divine timing says that everything unfolds with precision, like a cosmic symphony conducted by the hand of God. Pride interrupts the orchestra, insisting it knows the rhythm. It demands that doors open before their season, seeds grow before their time, and harvests arrive without planting. Pride blocks blessings because it refuses to wait. The image is powerful. Imagine a person winding a clock of their own design, setting the hands to their desires, yet the clock never works. The gears grind, the hours freeze. Meanwhile, above them, a golden divine clock ticks in perfect rhythm, offering harmony, offering flow, if only they would release control. The truth is simple. Pride is fear disguised. It is the fear of being seen as weak, so it creates false strength. It is the fear of surrender, so it clings to control. But every time pride insists on its own way, it separates you from the very blessings your soul longs for. The healing begins with surrender. The voice of pride must soften into the whisper of trust. Here is your affirmation. I surrender ego. I trust divine timing. All unfolds perfectly. Speak it when you feel impatience. Speak it when you want to force the answer. Let it remind you that the divine orchestra never misses a note, never plays late, never plays early. Visualize this. In your mind's eye, see the golden divine clock before you, vast and radiant. Its hands move in sacred rhythm. Each tick is a promise. Each moment is aligned. Lay down your own clock. Place it at the foot of the golden one. Breathe and feel the release as you realize you are not behind, not late, not forgotten. You are right on time. When pride is released, life flows again. And in flow, doors open without strain. Answers arrive without effort. And blessings manifest in ways you could never have forced. That is how the voice of pride transforms into the song of surrender. Type 3. The shadow of despair. The third shadow is heavy. It speaks not with pride or fear, but with hopelessness. This is the shadow of despair. The shadow of despair repeats failure like a mantra. It says, "It will never work. Nothing changes. This is who I am." It embraces it believes the cave of defeat is permanent, even though the gate has always been open. They sit in darkness, blind to the light already streaming in. Florence Scovel Shinn revealed the power of the tongue. Your words are prophecies. They either bless your path or curse it. The shadow of despair speaks hopelessness, and by speaking it, it shapes it. Despair is not simply an emotion. It is a declaration, and every declaration is law to the subconscious. This is why despair feels permanent. It is being reinforced by the very words you use to describe it. Picture this. A person sits in a cave, surrounded by stone. They speak into the walls. I am trapped. I cannot escape. Their own words echo back, convincing them of their prison. Yet, if they turned their head, they would see the gate wide open, sunlight pouring in, freedom already waiting. But they do not rise, because despair has convinced them their words are truth. This shadow is the most dangerous because it closes the mouth of faith. Without words of life, you cannot plant seeds of hope. Without declarations of power, you cannot shape a new destiny. The shadow of despair silences creation, but it can be broken. Despair must be replaced with declarations of hope. Even one word of life pierces the cave. One phrase of faith cracks the stone. Here is your affirmation. Every word I speak opens doors of hope. I choose life now. Do not merely repeat it. Speak it as though you are breaking chains with your tongue. Now visualize this. See yourself seated in the cave. Hear the echo of despair one last time. Then take a deep breath and speak aloud. I choose life. Watch as the cave walls tremble. See the darkness dissolve. See yourself standing, stepping out of the cave into radiant light. With each step, your words echo. I choose life. I choose hope. I choose freedom. This is how despair dissolves, not by waiting for circumstances to change, but by using the power of words to change the atmosphere of your soul. And now you know. Fear chains, pride blinds, despair silences. These are the three shadows that secretly control lives, but once unmasked, they lose their power, because no shadow survives when the light of awareness shines upon it. Now that the shadows are unmasked, the question remains, how do you reclaim your throne? Two thrones stand before you. One is carved from shadow, built from fear, doubt, resentment, and the heavy echoes of old pain. The other glows with divine light, radiant with peace, courage, and abundance. These thrones are not outside of you. They live within your own inner temple. And every day, whether you realize it or not, you choose which seat to take. Recognition is the first step, but recognition alone does not shift your destiny. Transformation is born the moment you make a choice. A shadow pattern may whisper, you are unworthy. A dark voice may echo, you are trapped. But when you rise and take the throne of light, you answer back with the language of heaven. I am worthy. I am free. I am aligned with divine truth. This is the law of substitution in action. You cannot cast out darkness by fighting it. You replace it with light. You do not resist fear. You speak faith until fear has no ground to stand on. You do not battle resentment. You bless until resentment dissolves like mist under the sun. Let us make this practical. Take out a journal, a sacred book that becomes your mirror of transformation. Write down the shadow thoughts that circle you most often. Name them clearly. Do not hide them. Then, beside each one, write the divine truth that sets you free. If the shadow says, I will always struggle with money, replace it with, I am a magnet for divine supply. God's riches flow to me without strain. If the shadow says, I am alone, answer it with, I am divinely connected. Love surrounds me and flows through me. In this practice you are not simply writing words. You are rewriting your destiny now. Stand before the mirror. Look into your own eyes, not as a critic, but as a soul remembering its radiance. Speak the words of light out loud. Declare them until something in your reflection changes. At first, the old self may resist. You may feel silly. The voice of shadow may laugh. But keep going. Keep declaring. Keep breathing truth into the reflection. Suddenly, you will notice a shift. Your face softens. Your posture rises. Your eyes carry a glow they did not carry before. That is not imagination. That is the throne of light taking its seat within you. Daily alignment is where the transformation becomes permanent. Begin each morning with a prayer of surrender. Say, Divine Spirit, I release this day to you. Order my steps, guide my words, let me walk in light. At midday, pause, close your eyes for a moment, breathe deeply, and whisper, I trust divine timing. All unfolds for me in perfect sequence. Then, before sleep, let gratitude be your final thought. Declare, thank you for the abundance I saw today. Thank you for the unseen blessings that are already on the way. In these simple rituals, you are weaving light into the fabric of your days. Psychology calls it Florence Scovel Shinn called it the power of the word. When your words shift, your emotions follow. When your emotions shift, your subconscious is reprogrammed. And when the subconscious changes, destiny itself bends toward light. Imagine a man who has always said, I never have enough. His body feels tense. His life reflects lack. One day, he begins declaring, I walk in divine supply. At first, it feels false. But as he repeats it, as he writes it, as he prays it, something inside begins to soften. He notices opportunities he once ignored. His posture changes. He treats others with confidence instead of fear. Soon, his outer world begins to reflect the throne of light he has chosen within. This is not theory. This is law, the law of your inner choice shaping your outer life, and it is unfolding right now as you hear these words. Which throne are you sitting on at this very moment? The throne of shadow that keeps you repeating the same cycles, or the throne of light that breaks chains and opens gates? Look around you. Your relationships, your money, your peace of mind, they are mirrors reflecting the seat you have chosen. If you do not like the reflection, change the throne. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture those two thrones, one cold, heavy, dripping with the weight of old patterns, the other glowing, alive, warm, with the presence of divine supply. See yourself walking toward them. Feel the pull of both. Now hear the whisper of your higher self. Beloved, you are free to choose. In this moment, with one inner decision, you rise from the shadow and walk toward light. You sit on the glowing throne, and you feel the weight of darkness fall away. Your heart opens, your body relaxes, your spirit expands. Say these words with me now. I choose light, I choose truth, I choose divine alignment. Repeat it softly until it feels carved into your soul. Here is your journaling prompt for tonight. Write down the 3 most common shadow thoughts you hear within yourself. Then, rewrite them as divine declarations. Tomorrow morning, stand in front of the mirror and declare them aloud until your reflection glows differently. Throughout the day, notice how your energy shifts when you choose words of light. And before bed, close the day with gratitude, knowing that every throne of shadow you once sat on has no power over you, any more that the path of transformation is not about perfection. It is about choice, daily choice, moment by moment, word by word. Each time you choose the throne of light, you become stronger, clearer, freer, and soon the shadow will not even tempt you, because your soul will know where it belongs. So I ask you now, which throne will you choose tonight? The throne of shadow, or the throne of light that was always waiting for you? Because your answer is not just a thought, it is the shape of your tomorrow. The journey we have walked together has led us here, at the threshold of freedom, at the gate where shadows lose their voice, at the moment where your soul chooses its true throne. You have seen the 3 shadows that once controlled your life, the whisper of fear that chained your decisions, the mask of pride that hid your tenderness, the cloak of despair that dimmed your vision of hope. But now you know their names, and once a shadow is named, it loses its secret authority. Hear this truth and let it sink into every cell of your being. You are not the slave of fear. You are not the voice of pride. You are not the shadow of despair. You are the divine expression of power, humility, and radiant hope. The law of substitution declares that no 2 states can occupy the same space at once. Fear cannot remain where faith is spoken. Pride cannot stand where humility opens the heart. Despair cannot breathe where hope sings its song. Each time you choose the words of light, the shadows dissolve. Each time you walk in faith, heaven's orchestra plays in your favor. Each time you surrender to divine order, the silent gate of destiny opens wide. Now it is time for your sacred declaration. Speak it aloud. Do not whisper. Speak as if your soul is commanding every corner of your universe to listen. I command every shadow to bow before divine light. Say it again, until you feel the atmosphere shift around you. I command every shadow to bow before divine light. Now continue with me. I walk in faith, in trust, in radiant hope. Again, I walk in faith, in trust, in radiant hope. And now, the final seal. I am free. I am whole. I am aligned with God's abundance now. Do not rush this. Let each word become a drumbeat in your chest. Let it echo through your inner temple like a bell of freedom. Close your eyes for a moment and see this vision. Before you stand the 3 shadows that once tried to direct your steps. Fear, pride, despair. But as you lift your voice, light breaks forth like a flood. One by one, the shadows dissolve into radiance. Fear melts into courage. Pride bows into humility. Despair rises into hope. And when the light clears, only your divine radiance remains. The temple of your soul is filled with nothing but glory. This is not just imagination. This is inner law. What you see within becomes what you live without. The shadows that haunted your mind are already bowing before divine decree. You are free. You are no longer a puppet of old patterns. The strings have been cut. The stage is yours. Now, walk in your divine role with power. Speak with authority. Move with grace. Live with a heart unchained. The puppeteer is gone. The throne of light is yours. I invite you now to take action and anchor this breakthrough in the physical world. In the comments below, declare which shadow you unmasked today. Name it, release it, and speak your new path of light. Your words are seeds, and when you write them, they grow roots in your reality. And if this message awakens something in you, subscribe now for daily teachings that will keep you free, aligned, and victorious. Remember this, transformation is not a single moment. It is a continual choice, but every choice you make in the light becomes easier than the last. Soon, light is no longer a choice. It is your nature. It is who you are. You are the child of divine order. You are the carrier of sacred abundance. You are the living temple of radiant hope. So rise, declare it one last time with all of your being. I am free. I am whole. I am aligned with God's abundance now. The heavens hear you. The earth responds to you. The divine law is sealed within you. And nothing, no shadow, no fear, no voice of the past can stand against the decree you have spoken today. The stage is yours. The puppeteer is gone. Walk forward in your divine role, clothed in light, crowned in truth, and rooted in eternal abundance. Your breakthrough is sealed.